So I'm going to talk a little bit about what drives behavior and my experience with it. I was a project manager working at Coventry University, and Coventry University needed a new website. That's the clicker. Oh.
We're going to rewind this.
Oh, there we go. It's camouflaged.
I didn't see that. Okay. All right.
Here's Raz.
Hi. I have been someone who's been cultivating T-shaped skills. I started my career off as a computer operator working in Africa, in Zimbabwe. Because technology is so old, my first job was punch cards, COS Basic. I then moved into development, did Clipper, don't know if anyone knows DBase 3, DBase 4, Clipper. Visual Basic came along, and at that point I was working in the banking industry, and we couldn't replicate the logic. So I hated Windows programming, so I moved into testing. Why is that? Oh, don't know what I've done to the clicker. Is that it? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And moved into testing, then business analysis, then project manager, and now for my sins, I'm a Scrum Master. So that's me in a nutshell. So I've been, like I say, cultivating T-shaped skills. So while I was working at Coventry University, my official job title was Web Project Manager. I worked for the marketing department, and they needed a new website. We were told it's not just if it will fail, it was more like when will it fail. And every time clearing comes along, which is lots of students, each student is worth $9,000 to the university. They're not a Russell Group university. They've got to go through clearance. So the university used to use their website. The website was a business critical system for them. And I called it a opportunity because they had some real problems, but it was also an opportunity. So what my team and I wanted to know was how can we make our website appealing to students? Because at the end of the day, I don't know if you know, but millennials, there's a joke that goes around that says, what's the difference between a millennial and a goldfish? Because of YouTube and e-commerce and that kind of thing, millennials have only got a 3-second attention span, whereas a goldfish has got 8 seconds. And that's statistically proven and true. And it's all because of 1, 2, 3 click on YouTube. So the university's website was very corporate, very stuffy, and it didn't appeal to students. We had a reading age of 35 years old on the website, and they tell you from an accessibility perspective, your reading age should be more in the teens, around 12, 15, 20 maximum. So having a reading age of 35, a lot of their website was just corporate guff, and it wasn't appealing to students. So like I say, it was an opportunity for us to use the money wisely, and we knew we had a very hard sell to academics. I don't know if you've heard of academics and cats and herding cats. So what we decided to do was to do a behavioral segmentation. So, but before I go into what we actually did, I just want to go through an exercise, because I thought rather than me stand and tell you what a segmentation is, I thought we'd just do a quick exercise. It won't take long. So we've got 4 columns. So I'd like you to, so for each one of these columns, I want you to put where you think you are in these columns, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So so if it describes you most, then you assign 3. If you're in the middle, about 2, and then 1 point if it least describes you. So if you just go through that quickly, if that's okay. So column 1, directing. If I go down them. So I direct projects, so I would put a 3 there for myself. So if you just go through that, I mean, let's just do, in the interest of time, let's just do the first 2 columns, because I'm just conscious that we might not have time to go through all of it. So I'll let you go through that quietly on your own. Once you've added up your columns, your total column scores, if we were doing this properly, you'd have a total for each one of these columns. And at the end, then what would come up is you'd be able to put yourself into one of these groups. So this is an example of a segmentation. So if you're a driver, you'd have the highest score in the first column. And if you're expressive, and so on. So you're basically ranking and rating yourself according to these criteria. And like I say, I'll give you the slides because it's quite an interesting exercise to do. But that's just, in a nutshell, what a segmentation does. So basically, you're grouping people so that you can look at what kind of behaviors they exhibit. So typically, drivers are independent, strong-willed, they enjoy challenges, whereas expressive, I think the clue's in the name, amiable people, these are the kind of people that get on really well in relationships, and then analytical people, these are more like the old-fashioned view of a developer where they don't like change or personal attention. They're very precise, very accurate, and so on. So we did a similar exercise at Coventry University because depending on which group you belong to, you like to be communicated in a different manner. And because the website is primarily a communication tool, we wanted to segment the undergrad market and find out how we can best communicate with them, because at the end of the day, each student is worth £9,000, right? And the more students we attract, the more money we're going to make as a university. And like I said, the main reason for doing it is these are the questions we had. We wanted to really understand the undergrad students. So why are they attending the university? What do they find important? What are their attitudes, their behaviors, their motivations? What do they care about? What do they do in their spare time? We did a demographic study by answering questions like your age, your sex, and all of that. But that doesn't really give you anything about their behaviors. So that's why we went through to a research panel, a really good research group called I'll just take you to the end of the presentation, Youth Site. They were an opinion panel of over 135,000 young people, so students, not academics. So they truly because they are undergrad students themselves, we got them to answer lots of questions. We designed 49 questions which would allow us to analyze the results and then find out what group they belonged in. But what was very insightful to the university is they found that those were the most common things that students thought. They wanted their university to be welcome, to be social, have facilities, supportive, friendly. Employability was a big one. Challenging, interesting, helpful, reputable. So when we did an exercise with the leadership team, they didn't come up with any of these things, especially fun. So if you say to an academic, a student wants a university to be fun, they're going to say, go away, you know. So we suspected that this was the case, but what we needed was statistically significant metrics that would allow us to sell this to the leadership team of the university. So YouthSight did the segmentation, and out of the segmentation, like I say, we crafted 49 questions, and they used some analysis tools. They used IBM SPSS, which is a tool, and basically they came out with a list of what they called 8 golden questions. So these questions were then incorporated into questionnaires, and it allows any student, if they answered all 8 questions, we could put them into a distinct group. And that group, these were the results. Those were the 4 different distinctive groups. So we had work-centrics. These are your traditional university students, people who they work hard, they've got a very strong work ethic, they're very driven. Because Coventry University is not a Russell Group university, they have a lot of students who wouldn't be perceived as academic. They're more vocational type students. So they had quite a large proportion of what they called withdrawn warriors. So for them, support was really important. It's like, how am I going to cope? And then you had Opal Socials. This is like, I suppose, what a lot of people see university students are, you know, go to the pub, have a few drinks, that kind of stuff. And then you get the slipstreamers. These are the guys who are truly academic, and they don't even find university taxing at all. They're just gifted, and they just sort of coast through university life. So, like I said, by asking these questions in any survey, this became a very powerful team for the marketing department, because not only were we able to create personas, we were also able to create content on the website which would appeal to each one of these groups. And therefore we made the university website much more appealing to students. And that's it.